So I died and was reborn as the groom of the most powerful and ruthless underground ruler in the world, Kenneth Nightshade. Our marriage was a family deal, and he agreed only for the sake of it. He didn't care at all about me. Married or not, it didn't matter. He didn't believe in love, and I was certain he felt nothing for me, until I realized just how wrong I was. Kenneth was the epitome of coldness, detached and emotionless, a man who never let anything or anyone get close. But could I really say he didn't care? Was he really as heartless as he seemed? The truth was, he was everything I never expected, and more. It all started when I got mad, ranting about how he had shut down the entire shopping mall just because I had flirted with the owner. I couldn't understand it. I was upset, complaining about his over-the-top actions, thinking he didn't even care. Without a single word, his sharp red eyes locked onto mine, and in an instant, he picked me up effortlessly and tossed me onto our shared king-sized bed. As he loosened his tie, his hands gripped my thigh firmly, and he leaned in, his voice as calm as ever, yet tinged with something I couldn't quite place. "Let's listen to your complaints now," he said. "Excuse me, what just happened?" This wasn't the cold, emotionless man I'd thought I married. He wasn't as detached as I expected. Ian Voss, was happily eating my ice cream while crossing the road when, out of nowhere, a truck came barreling toward me. It hit me so hard I flew into the sky, my soul practically soaring before landing, literally, on the driver of a car, causing it to bump into a parked one. "Ah, shit," I cursed. "Okay, let's act cool here. Hey, y'all, don't you know how to drive? If not, then why even buy cars?" I asked, crossing my arms and stepping out of the car. But when I looked at the car I bumped into, I froze. Wait, was that a Bugatti La Voiture Noire? The fuck did I just crash into an expensive car like that? There's no way I could pay for this. Alright, time to act like it's not my fault. Before I could say anything else, the man I landed on called someone, his boss, who walked out of the car. My breath hitched. The man was a giant, at least 6 feet 7 inches, clad in a dark red suit, his dark violet hair matching his piercing eyes. His face was perfect, with a sharp jawline and eyes so deep they felt like they could see straight through me. He exuded so much power it was almost suffocating. Wait, I blurted, stepping back. "Before you do anything to me, I object. This was a total accident, and I have no idea how your car got bumped. So there's no way I'm paying for any damages or whatever." I crossed my arms, trying to stay calm. He stared at me, his face unreadable. After what felt like forever, he nodded, surprising me. "Sure, you can leave," he said, and I was left blinking in disbelief. "Really?" I asked, incredulous. He nodded again. I couldn't help but grin, feeling a little relieved. "Thanks." I quickly bowed before realizing my long silver hair had fallen over my face. The hair was so thick and silky, what the hell? Oh, right, this was the body I'd been reborn into. Before I could pull my hair back, the car honked suddenly, startling me so much that I literally jumped into him. "Ah, sorry," I exclaimed quickly, hopping back into my car. I tied my hair back with a rubber band I found in the glove compartment and drove off. But as I drove away, I couldn't shake the feeling that his eyes were still on me. So, after some thinking, I finally pieced it together. I was the youngest son of the Voss family. Yeah, I'm rich too. I'm the prettiest, most delicate, and spoiled young master with a figure to match, standing at 6 feet tall with sky blue eyes. I've got a bad temper, though, which is pretty much the opposite of my angelic beauty. My name is Ian Voss, and, I also happen to be the bride of the world's most ruthless underground ruler. The whole thing was a family arrangement. Apparently, my family needed help with business, and Kenneth Nightshade's family stepped in. In return, they asked for my hand in marriage. I didn't even know who my soon-to-be husband was, but I couldn't refuse. It was a deal. They thought maybe I could change their cold, heartless son. Ridiculous, right? How could I possibly do that? Now, here I was, standing at the wedding ceremony, perfectly dressed, my hair combed with thin clips over my forehead to keep it out of my eyes. I wore a silk white cloth, feeling completely out of place. I stood at the altar, sighing. Where was my soon-to-be husband? I hadn't even seen him once. I crossed my arms, waiting, as the people around me whispered and gossiped. That's when the atmosphere shifted. The door opened, and a man walked in. My eyes widened in shock. It was him, Kenneth Nightshade. He was him. Just like the last time I saw him, He was clad in his signature dark red suit. One hand was casually in his pocket, and the other held a gun, which he tossed to his guard as he walked toward me. His face was unreadable, his calm, sharp violet eyes locked onto mine. I gulped. He recognized me, didn't he? "It's you," I whispered, my heart racing. "Did you know it was me that night too?" His eyebrows raised slightly, as if he hadn't expected me to speak. For a brief second, I thought I saw the hint of a smile tug at the corner of his lips. But before I could dwell on it, the ceremony continued. Vows, blah blah blah. And then came the kissing part. Without warning, Kenneth pulled me close, and his lips lightly pressed against mine. There it was, my first kiss as his bride. But, was it just my imagination, or was he gentler with the kiss, softer than I had expected? After the ceremony ended, I watched as Kenneth coldly spoke with his guards, giving orders with the same detached manner he always carried. "Wait, are you leaving already?" I called out, crossing my arms. "Have you forgotten? We just got married. You can't just leave your newlywed husband here alone." I didn't hold back, speaking my mind without any filter. I stood my ground, unyielding. Nothing could make me back down, no matter who he was or how powerful he was. His guards seemed taken aback, perhaps because he'd never had anyone stand up to him like this before. I half expected him to ignore me completely, but to my surprise, he stepped closer. His hand reached up, and in one swift motion, he fixed the clip in my hair that had come loose. "Go home," he said, his voice softer than usual, almost gentle. "I'll be back soon." I couldn't stop myself from pouting, but I nodded, a little surprised by his calmness. His mansion was enormous. There were fountains and luxury beyond anything I'd ever experienced. The guards escorted me inside, and the maids showed me respect, guiding me to our shared bedroom. The room was massive, decorated in dark shades, with elegant furniture and a grand bed that was as lavish as the rest of the house. Well, it was our bed now. I had to accept that, newly married and all. I quickly changed into my favorite loose nightwear, my blue Doraemon pajamas, and laid down on the soft, comfortable bed. I waited for him, but he never came that night. When I woke up, I went downstairs for breakfast, feeling a bit sour about his absence. As I sat down to eat, still pouting, I greeted the maids and tried to enjoy the meal they had made for me. That's when the door opened, and Kenneth walked in, flanked by his guards as usual. I was still holding my fork when I faced him, my tone sharp. "What kind of husband are you? Are you even human? I waited for you last night, but you didn't come." Kenneth stared at me for a long moment, his face expressionless. "What's your name?" he asked, his voice as calm as ever, as if he hadn't just ignored me all night. And what's with the question? The room fell silent. I could feel the anger rising inside me. "You don't even know my name." I stood up abruptly, pushing my chair back so hard it toppled to the floor. "I need a divorce," I shouted, storming upstairs, my heart racing. Was this how my married life was going to be? Downstairs, one of his men spoke up in disbelief. "Boss, this is the first time I've seen anyone talk to you like that." "How can he?" Kenneth's voice was low and steady as he replied, his gaze darkening. "He's my husband." "And?" the man asked, confusion in his voice. "And that's more than enough," Kenneth answered, his voice cold. I crossed my arms, pouting, when Kenneth finally approached. His tall figure towered over me as he asked, "I was actually busy, but I'm not anymore." "Don't be mad." His face remained expressionless, but there was a gentleness in his voice. His hand reached up to slide a few strands of my hair behind my ear. I didn't reply, still mad. "What do you want to eat?" he asked, catching me off guard. "You think giving me food will make me forgive you?" I shot back, surprised by how he could look so casual. "I want fries, ice cream, cheesecake." I added the last part with a little shrug. Food is food, right? When I glanced up at him, I saw the corner of his lips twitch. "Are you making fun of me?" I asked, my voice a little unsure. Before I could finish my sentence, he suddenly lifted my chin and bent down to kiss my lips. "I won't let you kiss me if you ignore me like you did last night again," I exclaimed, my voice firm. He only nodded, his hand still holding my hair, but the kiss had already told me everything I needed to know. Soon enough, he came back with all the food I wanted. I happily devoured it, watching him work on his laptop with his legs crossed, looking all businesslike. "Hubby, thank you," I smiled brightly, savoring a bite of cake. His typing paused, and he glanced at me. "What?" He asked. What? I can't call my husband, hubby. You don't like it? I asked, blinking innocently. He stared at me for a long moment, his gaze unreadable. Then he simply returned to his laptop, typing without a word. I grinned. I'm gonna take that as a yes, you do like it. I giggled, feeling a little mischievous. Kenneth's gaze softened as he looked at me, a quiet warmth in his eyes. But even then, he said nothing. Our attention shifted when some of Kenneth's guards entered, dragging in a man, probably one of his enemies. I peeked over the couch cautiously as Kenneth approached them, his face colder and more terrifying than I'd ever seen. His sharp eyes flicked to his right-hand man, Marcus, his most trusted subordinate and, honestly, the funniest guy I'd met here. I talked with him sometimes. Marcus nodded before turning toward me. I frowned, confused. Then, without a word, he raised his hand in front of my face, not touching me, just shielding my eyes. My confusion deepened until, bang. The gunshot echoed through the room. My body tensed, my breath hitching. Even though I couldn't see, I knew exactly what had just happened. The metallic scent of blood filled the air, thick and suffocating. When Marcus finally lowered his hand, I hesitantly glanced forward. The man who had been dragged in now lay motionless on the floor, blood pooling around him. A shiver ran down my spine. My stomach twisted unpleasantly. Seeing this in movies was one thing, but in real life, it was haunting. Kenneth, completely unbothered, handed his gun back to his guards. He wiped his hands with a wet towel. Before stepping toward me, his fingers gently gripped my chin, tilting my face away from the lifeless body and forcing my gaze onto him. Are you scared? His voice was calm, almost teasing, as he twirled a strand of my hair between his fingers. What? No, I blurted out, quickly waving my hands. I've seen way scarier things in movies. True, I had seen stuff like this in movies. But experiencing it firsthand, that was something else. Kenneth's lips twitched slightly upward. He nodded, amusement flickering in his sharp eyes, but he didn't call me out on my obvious bluff. The guards swiftly carried the body away, but my eyes remained fixated on the trail of blood as I peeked from behind Kenneth. He hadn't moved from in front of me at all, standing like an immovable shield between me and the lifeless body, as if keeping me from seeing it completely. Still, the image wouldn't leave my mind. My fingers fidgeted, my breathing uneven. No matter how much I tried to shake it off, the weight of reality pressed down on me. Then, without warning, Kenneth grabbed me, pulling me flush against him. His fingers tilted my chin up, and before I could even process what was happening, his lips crashed onto mine. Hard, fierce, demanding. My breath hitched. His grip on my waist tightened as if grounding me, forcing every thought of blood and death out of my mind. It worked. All I could focus on now was him. That night, Kenneth had promised he'd return. So, I waited, clad in my blue Doraemon pajamas, still not bothering with my night routine, sitting on the couch in our bedroom, hugging my knees. My eyes grew heavy, and before I knew it, I had dozed off. A gentle touch on my cheek stirred me awake. Oh, you're back, I whispered sleepily, loosening my grip on my knees. Kenneth didn't respond. Instead, he leaned down and, without a word, kissed me. Still half asleep, I lazily kissed him back before my eyes fluttered open properly, only to jolt awake in shock. What happened? Are you bleeding? His wrist had a fresh wound, red staining his pale skin. Why the hell didn't you get this treated? I scolded, quickly grabbing the first aid kit. Without waiting for his response, I pulled him onto the bed and began treating the wound. Kenneth remained silent, calm as ever, his fingers lazily loosening his tie while watching me work. I didn't know dangerous people like you could get hurt too, I muttered, finishing up and closing the kit. He simply stared. What I didn't realize was that he had let himself get injured, on purpose, just so I would be the one to take care of him. Are you just going to keep staring or go take a shower? I asked, raising a brow. He blinked, then leaned in as if to kiss me again. I pushed him away, crossing my arms. Go shower. Kenneth nodded, almost obediently. I almost found it cute how he actually listened to me. Oh, he always listens to me. After his shower, he walked out dressed in elegant nightwear, glasses resting on his nose as he scrolled through his laptop. From time to time, I caught him glancing at me while I focused on my night routine. My hair was tied up, my blue Doraemon headband securing it in place as I applied my skincare. What are you staring at? I asked, rubbing cream into my cheeks. I know I'm gorgeous, and to maintain my beauty, I need to take care of it properly. Kenneth merely nodded, as if it were an obvious fact. I squinted at him. You're applying one too. What? Before he could protest, I grabbed another face mask, climbed onto his lap, and carefully applied it to his face. He hesitated, even tried resisting at first, but under my determined gaze, he finally gave in. You're such a good hubby, I teased, kissing him lightly. Now, keep this on for at least a minute. I started to move away, but his arm tightened around my waist, his other hand running over my thigh, his touch firm, yet unbearably gentle. My breath hitched. His gaze darkened, heat pooling in his eyes. I had no idea what to say. My heart pounded in my chest. His touch was so soft, yet it burned through me, intense, and utterly intoxicating. Kenneth's fingers lightly traced patterns on my thigh, his touch slow and deliberate. His grip on my waist tightened just enough to make my breath hitch. I swallowed. What the hell is he thinking? You told me to keep this on for a minute, he murmured, his voice low and deep. His eyes were locked on mine, unwavering. I tried to ignore how close we were, how effortlessly he held me there on his lap as if I belonged there. Why yeah, so stay still, I stammered, pressing the sheet mask onto his face properly. My hands trembled slightly, and I cursed myself for reacting this way. His lips curled into the faintest smirk, though the mask covered most of his face. You're shaking, I scowled, trying to regain my composure. No, I'm not, Kenneth hummed in amusement, fingers still tracing slow, lazy circles on my thigh. I squirmed, feeling the warmth spreading across my face. Okay, 1 minute is over, take it off now, I declared, attempting to get off his lap. But he didn't let go. Instead, he leaned in, his breath warm against my ear. Stay a little longer. I froze. Was this dangerous mafia husband of mine really just using a face mask as an excuse to keep me on his lap? My heart pounded. My night routine was definitely ruined. I cleared my throat, trying to act unaffected. Kenneth, the mask is gonna dry out if you don't take it off. He didn't move. His fingers continued their slow, teasing circles on my thigh, making my breath hitch. His eyes, dark and unreadable, were watching me closely, as if waiting for something. You're comfortable, aren't you? He finally spoke, his voice deep, laced with amusement. I scoffed, trying to push his chest lightly. You're the one clinging to me. Let go already. He exhaled a soft chuckle but finally released me. As soon as I got off his lap, I turned away, trying to focus on removing my own mask. But I could still feel his eyes on me. Shaking off the weird fluttering in my chest, I grabbed a towel to wipe off the excess serum. You should moisturize, you know, I mumbled, handing him a bottle of lotion. Kenneth took it without argument, applying it to his face while I pretended not to stare. Damn it, why does a mafia boss look this good even while doing skincare? I climbed into bed, pulling the blanket over me, but before I could settle in, I felt the bed dip. Kenneth laid down beside me, effortlessly pulling me into his arms. Hey, I protested, struggling. Who said you could cuddle me? His grip tightened slightly, his chin resting on top of my head. You're my husband. His fingers playing with my hair. So what? I grumbled, trying to ignore how warm and comfortable he felt. Should I show you what? If I do, I am afraid you won't be getting a good sleep, he murmured against my hair. My face burned. Shit. Shut up. I huffed, deciding to let it go. Maybe it was just because he was tired. Maybe he just needed warmth. Or maybe, I didn't actually mind. With that thought lingering, I let sleep pull me under. The next morning, I stirred awake to find Kenneth already up, standing near the mirror and adjusting his usual crimson-red suit. My husband definitely had a thing for red. Good morning, I mumbled with a sleepy smile as I sat up. He hummed softly, finishing with his cufflinks before leaning down to press a gentle kiss on my lips. Go freshen up, breakfast's ready. Also, don't walk around in those, and tie your hair. I have client downstairs. They shouldn't see you like this. He gestured toward my pajamas and my messy bed hair. Why, do I look ugly like this? I asked, blinking. Quite the opposite, he said smoothly. But I don't want anyone else seeing you at all. He walked out, leaving me wide-eyed and stunned by the possessiveness in his words. After a quick shower, I headed downstairs for breakfast. I thought he'd left already, but he was still there, sitting in the living room with a man who looked like a business associate, maybe. But something shifted in the air the moment the man's eyes landed on me. His gaze lingered too long, making my skin crawl. Is he the one? The man asked, eyeing me from head to toe. So the rumors were true, he is a pretty thing. Kenneth's entire demeanor changed in an instant. He was in the middle of signing something, but his hand paused mid-stroke. His jaw tightened. You're looking at a reason to lose those eyes. His voice was calm, but ice-cold. Dangerous. Without warning, he ripped the contract in half, papers fluttering like broken promises. The man was stunned, mouth parting to protest, but before he could even speak, Kenneth stood, snatched the pen from the table, and slammed it right into the man's hand. My eyes flew wide. Goosebumps raced down my arms at the sudden, brutal sound of the pen tearing skin. The man screamed. Next time, it'll be your eyes, Kenneth whispered. He didn't have to say more. With just a glance, his guard stepped forward and dragged the man away. Kenneth tossed the bloodied pen into the dustbin like it was nothing, then turned to me, his expression instantly softening. Did he scare you? He asked, walking over to me. His fingers gently brushed my hair back from my face. I failed to make my message clear. I should have taken his life instead, he said quietly. Next time, there won't be a next time. His voice was deep, eyes dark as they looked into mine. I instinctively stepped back, unsure if I was shaken by the man, or by Kenneth. He noticed. His gaze darkened further as he stepped closer, his fingers catching my chin to tilt my face up. Don't be afraid of me, be afraid of what I'd do for you. And before I could speak, his lips crashed into mine, fierce, possessive, and unrelenting. My hands gripped his suit as I kissed him back, breath stolen by the intensity. He pulled me close, firm, secure, overwhelming, as his lips devoured mine. You're too much sometimes, I whispered breathlessly when he finally pulled back, my lips red and swollen. He smirked, gently rubbing his thumb over my bottom lip. Only for you. The next day, I had a hard time convincing Kenneth to let me go out shopping. He had work, and honestly, I didn't want him to come. So, I took the driver and headed to the newly opened mall. It was huge, luxurious, and, of course, everything looked perfect. The moment I entered, I rushed straight to the food stall, grabbing some snacks. I couldn't help but wonder if I should buy something for Kenneth. I wandered into a cosmetics store, and that's when I unexpectedly bumped into the owner of the mall, Mr. East. He was a young, friendly man who even gave me a discount. I couldn't shake the feeling that he knew who I was just by the way he smiled and looked at me. Yes, I know I'm beautiful, but seriously, dude, keep your eyes off me. My husband's going to tear you apart when he finds out. Anyway, Mr. East was handsome, and Kenneth wasn't here, so what harm would a little flirting do? I happily picked out a bracelet set, paid for it, and walked with him as we chatted. But I felt a little warm under his gaze. So, Mr. Ian, right, you're really pretty. I wonder if you're single. Mr. East asked with a smirk, but before I could reply, the entire mall hallway suddenly cleared. Oh, great, I awkwardly smiled as Kenneth walked in like he owned the place, which, I guess, he kind of did. He immediately started glaring at Mr. East before looking at me. Are you done shopping? I nodded. You said you were busy. What are you doing here now? I asked, but got no response from him. Did you forget you're married? You're not allowed to talk to other men, Kenneth said, his voice dangerously calm. I froze. Wait, don't be mad. We were just talking normally. Kenneth didn't stop glaring at Mr. East, who was now looking a bit uncomfortable. Wait, you're married to him? Mr. East asked, clearly shocked. Oh, I didn't know. Forgive me for my ill behavior, Mr. Nightshade. He quickly bowed, looking completely taken aback. You should have, Kenneth replied coldly, taking a dangerous step closer to Mr. East. Even if you didn't know, you can't. Not without considering who they belong to. Especially when they belong to me. I can't stand it when others lay their eyes on my property. The entire scene around us stiffened. Everyone was on edge, and Mr. East looked like he was about to faint from fear. Meanwhile, I stood there blinking, completely stunned. What the hell, Kenneth? Calm down. What do you mean by property? Is that what you think of me? Am I just your property? Is that all I am to you? Fine. I threw my shopping bags onto the floor before storming out of the mall. Kenneth, who had been icy cold the entire time, finally snapped out of it. Wait, Ian Nightshade, he called, watching me walk away. With a sigh, he shot one last glare at Mr. east before kneeling down to grab my bags and rushing after me. Everyone around us was completely shocked by the scene unfolding before them. The guards didn't let me go far, so I ended up sitting in the car, my arms crossed. You misunderstood. I didn't mean, Kenneth tried to speak. I don't care what you meant. Don't talk to me. Don't even dare touch me, I snapped, shoving his hand away. Ian, he leaned in, but my glare stopped him. He let out a deep sigh. The driver, who had been observing the whole situation in shock, finally asked if he could start driving. Kenneth gave him a nod, and we left the mall in silence. Reaching the mansion, I stormed in, furious. This isn't right. You need to calm down, control your anger. All I wanted was to think you'd get it. I'd be understanding of your temper, because I know you're short-tempered, but no, your words just made everything worse. We're married, yet you think of me as property. Wow, my arms were crossed as I glared at him, my frustration pouring out. The guards and everyone around us stood completely still, their anxiety palpable. Even Kenneth, the man who made the world cower in fear, didn't say a word. He stood frozen in front of me. Listen to me, Kenneth said, his voice softer, but still dark. I didn't mean to say it like that. I just wanted to make it clear that he can't look at my husband. Yeah, but you used property, I retorted. And so what if he looked? What's the big deal? Does he want his eyes gone? Kenneth asked in a dangerous tone, his voice a low growl. I rolled my eyes, shaking my head. You're talking childish now. I don't even want to talk to you about this. Forget it. Don't talk to me. Don't even come near me, and you're not even getting the gift I bought for you. With that, I turned and stormed up the stairs, leaving Kenneth standing there, frozen in silence. Downstairs, Marcus, one of the guards, spoke up, his tone almost sympathetic. Boss, you're really done for. The other guards nodded in agreement, though no one dared to move. Kenneth blinked, but there was a hint of frustration in his eyes. He rubbed his face, as if trying to calm himself, though it was clear he was still rattled. This is all happening because of that damn mall. He turned sharply and glared toward the door. Shut it down, he ordered coldly. The guards didn't hesitate, they immediately nodded and rushed to carry out his command. Kenneth was livid, but I couldn't bring myself to care at that moment. I just wanted some space. When I finally found out about it, I exploded all over again. I thought keeping him away for a night would make him behave, but no. The next morning, I woke up to news flashing everywhere. The mall was shut down. He wasn't home, so I made sure myself. I rushed there, and sure enough, it was completely closed, just like the news said. I was fuming, absolutely mad. When I got back, Kenneth was already home, casually talking with his guards like nothing had happened. I didn't even wait. I ignored everything and shouted, Kenneth Nightshade, what did you do? I stomped toward him, anger blazing. This is not right. I thought one cold shoulder would make you a good boy, but no. You just do whatever you want. You don't even think about me. How could you shut down an entire mall just because I was talking, not even flirting, just talking normally with the owner? I was blabbering in fury, unable to hold back. Kenneth sighed, briefly locking eyes with his guards. They nodded and quickly left the room. Before I could even react, he suddenly came near, his sharp red eyes locking onto mine, and in an instant, he picked me up effortlessly. Ah, what are you doing? Didn't I say you aren't allowed to touch me? Put me down. He didn't listen. He just carried me upstairs to our bedroom and tossed me gently onto our shared king-sized bed. Gulping, I backed up fast, my back hitting the bed's headboard. Don't even come near me, I warned, stretching out my leg to block him. Instead, he caught my leg easily, holding it gently as he slipped off my shoes, calm as ever. He set my legs down, loosened his tie casually, then placed a firm hand on my thigh, leaning in dangerously close. His voice came out low and smooth, a hidden fire underneath. Let's listen to your complaints now. I swallowed nervously. What complaints? It's just, you don't listen. Okay, I'm sorry, he suddenly said, voice soft, almost too soft for the Kenneth the first knew. Tell me, what should I do? My heart thumped wildly. He just said sorry, and in such a soft voice. I looked away, my voice coming out smaller. Let them all go, I whispered. Kenneth's eyes sharpened. That's not gonna happen. You're saying no again, I shouted. He stared at me for a long moment before sighing, almost as if giving in. Fine, but let it stay shut for just a week. That'll teach him a lesson. After a week, I'll let it reopen. I promise. His dark eyes didn't leave mine. I huffed, crossing my arms. Whatever. I turned my head away, refusing to meet his gaze. He chuckled lowly, amused. Slowly, he leaned in, his arms wrapping around my waist and pulling me closer. Have you forgiven me yet? Why should I? It's not like you care. I mumbled, refusing to look at him. Kenneth's gaze darkened. You think I don't care about you? He said quietly, his voice dangerously low. That's not fair. You've been driving me crazy since the moment we married. Do you think it's easy for me? You know the power you have over me, so why act oblivious? His hand gently grabbed my chin, making me face him. I felt my face heat up, the embarrassment rising. Hearing such words, from him, was confusing, overwhelming, and somehow, dangerously sweet. But he wasn't done. He grabbed my wrist gently, bringing my fingers to his lips, pressing soft kisses along each knuckle. You should know, he murmured against my skin, I don't just care. I live for you. Love, it's not what I crave. I crave you. I need you to live, desperately. He sucked gently on my palm, eyes burning into mine. I gulped. You're insane, I whispered shakily. I agree, he said without hesitation, and the next moment, he crushed his lips onto mine. The kiss was deep, desperate. Yesterday you didn't let me touch you, he murmured against my lips. Do you know how hard it was for me? I shoved at him weakly. Don't lie, don't think I didn't notice, you kissed and hugged me when I fell asleep. I accused. He laughed lowly, a deep chuckle rumbling from his chest. Oh, you saw that, he teased playfully. I only nodded, my face flushing as he leaned down again, kissing me slowly, not giving me even a second to breathe. Kenneth didn't give me a chance to recover. His hands slid up my sides, slow but sure, sending goosebumps all over my body. His kiss deepened, growing hotter, rougher, like he was trying to pour all his frustrations, anger, and hunger into me. I whimpered against his lips, clutching at his shirt, trying to push him away but ending up pulling him closer instead. He groaned lowly, the sound vibrating against my chest as he pinned me down, his body flush against mine. You drive me crazy, he muttered into my mouth, not letting go for even a second. His hands roamed freely now, one slipping under my shirt, trailing fire along my bare skin, while the other cupped my jaw, tilting my head to kiss me even deeper, even rougher. I gasped when his hand gripped my waist, pressing me tighter against him. I could feel the heat radiating off his body, his muscles tense under my fingers. Every time I tried to speak, he swallowed my protests with another burning kiss, each more desperate than the last. Kenneth, I breathed out, my voice barely a whisper. He pulled back just a little, enough to look at me. His eyes were dark, dangerous, and burning with so much hunger it made my whole body tremble. Say it, he growled softly. Tell me you want this too. His thumb brushed my lower lip, teasing, coaxing. I bit my lip, trying to hold back, but he caught that too. He leaned down again, tracing my bitten lip with his tongue before diving in for another kiss. Harder, wetter, hungrier. My mind blurred as he moved, kissing down my jawline, then to my neck, sucking lightly before biting down just enough to make me gasp. His hands found the hem of my shirt again, this time tugging it up, revealing my bare skin to the cool air. I shivered, partly from the cold, mostly from the heat in his touch. He kissed his way down my chest, slow, teasing, nipping at every inch of skin he uncovered. Kenneth, wait, I tried to protest, but it was weak, we both knew it. He chuckled darkly, his breath hot against my skin. We are not stopping, he murmured, voice thick and rough. You need to face the consequences for that anger of yours, and I'm not going to let you off easy. You're dealing with me, all day, all night. With that, he captured my lips again, sliding his tongue into my mouth, claiming me completely. His hands slid under me, lifting me up effortlessly so he could toss the shirt away, leaving me flushed and exposed. The way he looked at me, like I was something sacred and sinful at the same time, made my heart race like crazy. I barely had time to catch my breath before he was back, devouring me all over again, lips, hands, body, everything burning together. And in that heated chaos, I knew. I wasn't stopping either. His lips never left my skin, trailing a path of fire as he kissed down my chest, his tongue teasing and tasting every inch. My breath hitched when his teeth grazed my sensitive skin, leaving red marks that screamed mine. Kenneth, I gasped, gripping the sheets beneath me as his hand slid down to unbutton my pants. His eyes flicked up to mine, dark with desire, a silent warning and promise in one. I gulped seeing his gaze and lifted my hips, letting him slide my pants down, slow, deliberate, his fingers brushing along my thighs in a teasing stroke that made my legs tremble. He kissed my hip bone, then lower, his lips hot and open-mouthed against my skin. So obedient now, he murmured, voice like silk. Where's that fire from earlier, I tried to glare at him, but it melted the second he leaned in, his tongue flicking over a sensitive spot just above my waistband. Don't tease, I managed to whisper. He chuckled, low and sinful. But I like teasing. With one hand pinning my hip in place, he pulled down the rest of my clothes, tossing them aside, eyes roaming hungrily over my now fully exposed body. Beautiful, he breathed out, more to himself than to me, before crawling back up, body flush against mine, his clothed form rubbing perfectly over my bare skin. The friction made me whine softly, grinding up without meaning to. His body was burning, and I could feel how hard he was even through his clothes. He leaned down, capturing my lips again, this time with more control, sensual and slow, his tongue stroking mine like he wanted to memorize my taste. As he kissed me, his hand reached between us, wrapping around me in a grip that made me moan into his mouth. So sensitive already, he whispered, lips brushing against mine. You missed me that much. My hips bucked into his hand, seeking more. I was losing it, all thoughts erased except the way he touched me, the way he kissed me, the way his body pinned me like I belonged beneath him. And maybe I did. Take off your clothes already, I mumbled breathlessly. He smirked. Impatient little thing. He stood for a moment, removing his shirt, revealing that chiseled, muscular body I always pretended not to stare at. His skin glowed under the soft lights, veins visible along his arms, chest rising and falling with each breath. I swallowed, hard, and he noticed. Eyes up here, he teased, climbing back over me, only now skin to skin, heat to heat. I moaned when our bodies aligned perfectly, every nerve lighting up, and from there, he devoured me. There was no room left for space or silence, just gasps, moans, breathless pleading, and the sound of skin against skin. And his voice, always in my ear. Mine, more, don't hold back, and I didn't. Later days, nothing wild really happened, except that one time I stormed out in rage because Kenneth didn't answer me in 3 seconds. I was dramatic, obviously, sprinting away from the guards. Honestly, they were too slow. But well, I ended up getting kidnapped by some rival gang of his. Not that I panicked, I was chilling, actually. Totally unbothered. I knew my husband would come running to save his precious little me. So I waited, calm, cool, pretty. The kidnappers though, God, they were so dumb, I felt like I was in a sitcom. I tugged at the ropes and said sweetly, I'm just a fragile little beauty, do you really think I can hurt you? Tying me up like this, are you really that scared? Bam, instant trigger. They untied me right away, offended as hell. Weak egos, I swear. I sat there comfortably, legs crossed, sipping on non-existent tea while they ranted about how much they hated Kenneth. Boo-hoo, Kenneth ruined their lives, destroyed their families, blah blah tragic backstory. He's a mafia boss, it's kinda his job. I was just nodding, wasting their time. Until one of them made the mistake of saying, he's a monster, a heartless piece of. Excuse me, you can insult me, you can kidnap me, but talk shit about my husband? Absolutely not. I launched at them, jumped on one guy, grabbed his collar mid-sentence, fists flying. Another tried to pull me off, he got a heel to the face. It was chaos. Then, dramatically, the basement doors burst open. Guards stormed in, cars surrounded the place, and in the middle of it all, stood him. Kenneth Nightshade, cold, composed, deadly, like he walked out of a damn movie. Everyone froze, except me. I was still on top of a guy, mid-punch. I blinked, smiled innocently. Hubby, you came faster than I thought. I practically skipped over, spinning like a ballerina mid-battle. Kenneth didn't say a word. He reached up gently, brushing the hair from my forehead, then held my hands, checking them carefully for wounds. I'm fine, I beamed. They're the ones who'll need the hospital. He just let out a low chuckle, eyes glinting. You weren't even a little worried. I pouted. I know you. I expected you to handle it. Kenneth smiled, proud and amused. I giggled. Well, I am your husband, right? I can't just be a frail little doll. Besides, they talked sh*t about you. That's unforgivable. Only I get to do that. He leaned in, kissed my forehead, and without a word, sent a glare to his men. Translation: none of these guys leave here alive. Let's go home, he said, wrapping his arm around me. Great, I'm hungry, I want pasta. He nodded instantly, because even after all that, pasta comes first. The ride back home was silent, well, for him at least. I talked the entire time. And then the guy with the scar. He actually thought I was going to cry. Like, sir, look at me. I was born to be dramatic, not pathetic, I huffed, crossing my arms. Kenneth only glanced sideways, clearly trying not to smirk. We finally got home. The moment the door shut, he picked me up bridal style without warning. Wah, hey, bath, he said simply, carrying me straight to the bathroom. The warm water was already running. Lavender bubbles, dim lights, he had everything set up. You knew I'd be home safe, I whispered. I believed in you, he answered, placing me down gently, fingers trailing to undo the buttons of my shirt slowly. I shivered, not just from his touch but the softness in his eyes. Dangerous, intense, but gentle. Once we were both inside the bath, I leaned back into his chest. His arms circled around my waist beneath the water, chin resting on my shoulder. You beat them up, he whispered. Because they insulted you, I replied. You didn't even flinch, I smirked. Was showing off for my husband. He chuckled lowly, fingers tracing the faint marks on my wrist from the ropes. I hate seeing this on you. Then don't let me run out again, I teased, tilting my head to kiss his jaw. Kenneth didn't respond with words. Instead, his lips brushed my shoulder, soft, deliberate, before trailing up to the side of my neck. One hand slid across my chest, fingers splayed possessively. Say it again, he whispered against my skin. Say what? That only you get to talk bad about me. I turned slightly in the bath, facing him, resting my forehead on his. Only me, I murmured, pressing a kiss to his lips. Only I get to tease, scold, or scream at you. You're mine. His lips crushed against mine with heat, urgency, claiming my words as truth. The kiss deepened, his hand gripping my waist underwater, bodies impossibly close. When we finally broke apart for air, he looked down at me with those deep eyes. You're not allowed to get kidnapped again. Then answer me within 3 seconds next time. He laughed, defeated but absolutely in love. Deal. After having the most delicious pasta ever, I collapsed onto our bed, the soft sheets wrapping around me like clouds. I rolled to the right, then the left, arms spread wide, sighing in complete happiness. Kenneth sat beside me, sleeves rolled up, his sharp eyes focused on his laptop, working, as always. His features looked softer in the warm bedroom light, lips pressed in slight concentration. But I needed more than just the view. Attention. I need attention, I declared, dramatic as ever, propping my chin on my hands and staring at him like a puppy waiting for treats. He glanced at me for a heartbeat, just one, and in that second, his entire demeanor changed. The laptop was shut, his large hand cupped my cheek gently, and the next thing I knew, his lips were on mine. Firm, hot, deep, like he'd been holding back for hours, days even. He hovered over me, hands sliding behind my neck to keep me close, his other arm supporting him as he leaned in further, his weight deliciously pressing into me. His kiss wasn't just a kiss, it was a promise. A possessive vow sealed in the warmth of his breath, the hunger of his mouth, and the rhythm of his heartbeat that thudded against mine. When we finally parted, barely inches away, his eyes met mine with fire and softness all at once. You want attention, he murmured, voice low and deep. I smirked, fingers brushing through his hair. I already got it, and he kissed me again, deeper this time, pulling the night around us like a secret, like we were the only two people in the world that mattered.